This is the Exhausting Snyders podcast. This is a 3D podcast, death, dysfunction, and disability. And I'm here with the star of this show, the co-host, Rachel Snyder. She is a death-positive advocate, a writer, and a lecturer, and so many more. We're going to learn everything about her.
A lecturer? It sounds like I lecture you.
Boy, I'm coming off real radio.
I like it.
Like, hey.
You're doing great. Sounds great.
All right. And I'm Brian Maxfield Snyder. I'm an actor, director, and comic. And I don't know what else I'm doing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. What am I doing?
You're not doing much.
I'm babbling. I'm just a babbler.
Well,
I'm exhausted. That's the bottom line. I'm exhausted.
You might be having a little breakdown.
I'm having a little bit of a stroke. I feel a little drool coming out of my right side of my mouth. And here we are. So let's talk about how we got here. Well, how we got together. Shall we?
Sure.
Okay. So I was working at a disability resource.
I think we should tell my part first. Well, because it's in order. You're going out of order, yeah.
I'm not going out of order.
Yes,
You're out of order.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I was working at a disability resource center in Northern California, and I was working on a video with one of my coworkers, and we were there really late. And I was really frustrated because I didn't want to be there that late. And we were there so late, his wife showed up and was like waiting for us. And and I'm putting because I can't fucking see. I asked him to help me out with the camera stuff, and I'm looking for this female XLR audio cable. And I'm like, where is this female? And I'm like, man, I need a female XLR cable. And then I sighed and went, I need a female. And the wife, she heard that. And then you can take it from there.
Okay, so he's telling the story backwards. But before that happened, I was being interviewed by the husband, who was also the friend in the and for a project I was doing about death positivity. That was a lecture series. And he asked me at the end of the interview, are you working on anything else right now? And I said, yes, I'm trying to write a script about my father and his band. But I'm a journalist. I'm not a script writer, so I don't really know how to do it. And I've been in the film industry, but not in this end of it. I don't have anybody to bounce it off of because we're in a small town. So I just wish I had someone to talk to about it and get some tips. And he said, oh, do you have any interest in meeting a blind former pornographer who is now doing disability shock films? And I said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Please. For all kinds of reasons, yes. And so Ben, his wife, was like, and she started matchmaking. She's like, she called me and she said, check out his photo on Facebook. And I said, he's pretty handsome. I said, yep, I don't care. And she said, well, kind of your type. I said, don't care. I'm not interested because I was not getting I wasn't.
And that is mentally ill. That is your type.
Yes, that's true. So you are my type. Tall, dark, handsome, former film industry, and totally insane. That is absolutely, she was right. Which is why I was like, no, thank you. But I just really wanted to pick his brain about it because I was obsessed with the script. My father just died, so it was my little grief obsession. And so I texted him and said, hey, I'm so-and-so's friend, and I was hoping I could pick your brain a little bit about this script, so can I buy you coffee? And he thought he was being cute. So he said, I don't have time for coffee, but I do have a window for, what do you say, kombucha, and perhaps for Clamato or something?
Yeah, Clamato.
And I was like, oh, you're cute. Okay. So he's a smart ass. I said, well, I don't drink kombucha. That's disgusting. And isn't it a little early to be talking about Clamato? We just met. Like, we're just, right?
But you grew to love kombucha.
Well, that comes later. Stop.
Okay,
You're
right.
jumping.
Sorry, I'm jumping
anyway,
ahead.
So he thought he was being cute, right? So I was like, I was playing back because I'm like, okay, I really need to talk to this guy. I really need some. Okay, I'll put up with this crap. But it was kind of funny, and it was annoying, and I like being annoyed. So anyway, like 15 minutes in, you want to finish?
Yeah. So what happened was I hadn't dated for like 5 years to this point for various reasons because I was going through some of the worst parts of my vision loss, and I was like, I don't want to put anybody through this, and I was actually,
he was being an ableist is what he was doing.
I was being ableist, and I didn't want to put anybody through the pain that I was experiencing, and so I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to date, but I'd like to find a friend, a funny friend.
A funny, hot friend.
A funny, hot
to have sex with.
Yes. And so I thought, you know what? I'm not. I don't have much time left in my life, and I'm gonna do something. And if she doesn't fucking laugh, then we're not gonna even be friends. So what I did was, I knew because the friends that we were talking about told me that she had cancer, but I didn't know what type. So what I did was I said, all right, I'm gonna make a joke, and she doesn't laugh. All right, here we go. So I said, what type of cancer do you have? I texted, and then I waited for a beat.
And I was busy typing in prostate. Because I'm like, first of all, none of your business. And second of all, he's a smartass. And so I'm typing that. And before I can hit send.
Then I sent the question, testicular?
Which I just thought was so endearing. That's what's wrong with me. Is that I think that's hot.
And it was hot. It was hot.
That you called me a man?
I don't remember that.
That's kind of what you're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
But I thought you meant afterwards. Like,
no.
I'm like, are you a man, by the way? No.
No, you didn't. No,
okay. All right. So,
focus.
I'm sorry. I have ADHD.
No, you don't.
We'll talk about your ADHD later. But so we started texting. Like, so we texted for 2 days in a row for like 8 hours a day.
The dumbest stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, who would you rather sleep with, Helen Keller, before pre-Anne or post-Anne? Like really offensive, like weird questions. Would you ask me if I was death itself and had come for you? And I don't know what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, we were really exploring each other's psychosis,
insanity,
in a weird way. But we were really falling in love very, very quickly, just through text. And then we had a date set up. So we started texting on like Thursday, and then we had a date on Sunday.
It was not a date.
Oh, no, it was a Friday. So it was a Friday, and then a Saturday we were texting both days, and then we met on a Sunday.
It was a business meeting, and you turned it into a date. Because it was never framed to Brian as a business. It was framed to him as a date the whole time, but not to me. And so we went into it with totally different ideas of what was happening. But I mean, we had been flirting, so it turned into that. But it was funny that I was like, nope. Okay, I guess it's a date.
And then so we met at a coffee place and we started talking, and then we just were getting along so well, we decided to walk up to a cemetery that was at the top of the street where we were.
How much of the story are you going to tell?
Well, I'm going to say, and then we started we made out in the cemetery.
Okay.
Like goth kids.
I thought you were going to tell the interesting part of that story.
Isn't that interesting?
No.
It's not?
No. Nobody wants to hear about 40-year-olds making out in a cemetery.
I do.
Okay. I thought it was interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Did. So, what was then tell me what the interesting part of the story
I think the interesting part of the story was he was for the first time teaching me how to lead him. Because there's a certain way to do it, right? And he's going, relax, but I'm not relaxed because I'm in charge of somebody all of a sudden and I don't know what to do and I'm nervous. And I'm pulling, and he's walking really close to the sidewalk that has like a 3-foot drop, right? Like there's no railing, there's no nothing. It's a straight, like a leg breaking height. And I'm pulling him away from it and he goes, okay, you know what, stop. And he stopped me and he turned me towards him. He said, look, I need you to let me fall, okay?
In love.
That's not what you said. I need you to let me fall. I'm going to fall. I'm going to run into stuff. I'm going to fall over things. I'm going to get hurt. And I need you to just let me do it. I can't have, this is not going to work. If you're hovering over me and like, I just need you to let me fall. And I said, okay, well, the drop is about 3 or 4 feet. So he says, well, not right now. I'm like, okay, yeah, thanks. So that was a whole, like, the start of our relationship really has encapsulated the whole thing in the sense of, Brian being very worried about and aware of his blindness and me not really being that way and being kind of, intuitive, but, yeah, I'll let you drop, but not that far. I'll let you fall. And I do all the time. And sometimes I laugh, but not like injury level.
You did let me, when we got to the hotel here in Burbank, you did let me hit my head
I didn't
on,
let you hit your head
the
on
refrigerator.
I didn't know. Okay.
You saw it
Was
happen.
I supposed to leap in front of your body and cushion you with my boobs? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Sorry. After I hit my head.
Because you were being a dick.
Why was I being a dick?
About the bathroom.
No, I was a dick after the bathroom.
God, okay.
I was unhappy with the size of the counter in the bathroom.
Yeah, he
but
said,
that was afterward.
I really need you to pick a hotel with a better bathroom.
Let me tell my story. This is my time.
Okay.
My time right now. So here's what happened. I was in the bathroom very upset about I couldn't find any place to put anything because the counter was like 3 inches wide. And I was pissed off of that. And then I came out and then I hit my head. and then I was like, fucking A, this place.
Which is
right?
somehow my fault.
And then I went over the suitcase and I was just like, this place, next time you choose a hotel, we got to make sure we have enough counter room. Because it's hard enough not being able to see shit, but not having enough space and feeling cramped is even worse.
I really need you to look a little harder and pay more attention to these things.
Now you're making me sound like I'm a prima donna.
You're being a dick. Because every time you get frustrated about a blind thing, you find a way that I should have made it different through magic. Like hotel listings do not have like full photo and like schematics of the fucking bathroom. They have like one little picture of the toilet and one of the showers. I don't know how big it is. I cannot tell you that.
We're
like,
way off track.
I know. Okay.
We're way off
track. All right.
track.
Refocus. Right. We'll fight about that
all right.
later.
So what happened is we ended up standing in love with each other, and we ended up marrying each other. During the first year of our marriage, I wanted to create a podcast called Love and the Sixth Extension. And it was because we found each other. Basically, we trauma bonded, right?
It was going to be the most depressing podcast on earth. Yeah, we trauma.
You didn't say that at the time.
Well, I was trying to be nice.
So
okay. Well, hold on. You're getting ahead of yourself. So Brian was losing his eyesight completely when we met, and he has lost it completely since we've been married. And I had just gotten over cancer. I went through cancer treatment, and I was just gone into remission. And Brian had kind of lost his career due to his illness, and I had lost mine as well. I was writing, and I was doing very well. I was working for Playboy and all this stuff, and then I had to go into cancer treatment, and I lost everything. Brian did his... Go ahead.
But you're leaving out a very important part of it.
I'm not. Maybe I haven't gotten that far yet.
You found out you had cancer because you were getting a mammogram, and they said you can't have a mammogram because you're
I'm pregnant. Well, that wasn't the important part of this story, but yeah, that's...
But I mean, it is important to the overall.
Okay, now it's my time. Now Brian is quiet,
go ahead,
and it's Rachel's time.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, as I was saying, I had just gotten into cancer remission, and then 4 days after my last surgery, my father became terminally ill, and I became his caregiver. So it was a year of hellishness with that, and he passed away. And so now I'm there with nothing. All my money's gone from taking care of my dad. I have a baby because I was pregnant surprisingly when I got at 38. So that was I didn't know which one was worse. And so now I'm a single mom with fake boobs and no money and no dad and I'm starting over. And my writing career is gone.
Beautiful fake boobs.
You don't know that. They are good.
Yeah.
But anyway. And then
I enjoy them.
Brian was going to be a director and acting, and he wasn't able to do that because. So anyway, I saw a video on Facebook of Brian talking about how he was watching his world fade away with his eyesight, and it felt how I felt about my life that had faded away. And, we were both doing pretty well in entertainment, which is hard to do. And we got, that's all luck. So much of that's luck. And the train goes by once and it got snatched away from both of us. And a lot of my friends didn't understand how painful that was because they had never been in that position. So I was like, oh, this is one thing that we can connect on because it's something most people don't understand is just having your body betray you and take away these opportunities. So that was the trauma bonding. Yeah.
Hey, Indy in Victoria, is Rachel is she talking too fast? Can you understand her?
How?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's a little fast, but I mean, hey, I mean, if you're feeling it, go for it.
That's how I talk.
I know. I just want people to be able to understand you.
Okay, we'll have subtitles. I just took my medication. Okay.
All right.
Give it a minute to kick in.
All right. She's on Adderall.
I'm on the Adderall,
and that'll bring her down a little bit. So
it's all good. Keep it going.
I'll need a nap in like 2 hours.
So what happened after that is I wanted to do this podcast called Love in the Sixth Extension because with climate change and all the shit we're dealing with.
Because we're all gonna die any minute.
And this was pre-pandemic, mind you, and I thought we did one episode, and it was like 4 hours long.
It was weird.
And it was all Rachel because we were going to do you first. You were going to do your story first, then the next episode of my story.
Yeah.
And then I said, all right, well, you got to edit it because I've lost my ability to use GarageBand, and and this was me in the period where I'm trying to adapt and learn how to use my computer with a screen reader. So that's a little much trying to learn like GarageBand or Pro Tools or whatever. And I was like, fuck, you got to do this. And then I got too serious about it. I stressed her out.
He got weird. about it.
Weird? What's weird?
You got a little emotional and like sensitive about, because I was like, I don't totally get the concept, and you're like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I just want to talk about our love and how the world is going to die and how we're all going to die in like 4 years and everything's terrible. I'm like, that sounds super entertaining. We should totally do that. No one wants to hear about that downer. And this, like you said, is before COVID, so it wasn't even terrible yet.
And so that went by the wayside, and then
you got upset and said, I'm doing it myself.
And so my mentor Gustavo Esteva, who is very close, who died of COVID during the pandemic. He did encourage me for years to start a podcast, and I had another friend named Patrick.
But
and
a
he was
funny
encouraging
one.
me.
Funny. They both want you to do funny ones.
I know. And so I started a podcast, very low grade, just me on Zoom recording it, no intro, no outro, no editing.
Okay, wrap
just,
it.
And so I was the Blind Man in Black, and so you started coming on to the podcast as my guest host.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be your co-host through the sad one.
And
when you made it good, when you made it interesting, then I was interested.
Right. And I fell in love with you again, and I was like, we have to do a podcast together.
Was it because I was funnier than you?
Yeah, I mean, you're hilarious. You are, and and you're charming and sexy, and I that's why I fell in love with you. So I wanted to spend more time with you, and so I wanted to do a new podcast. And so, but before that all happened, Rachel started getting on TikTok. Right when the pandemic started, TikTok started to explode, right?
TikTok, yes, because Facebook was making me angry.
Yeah.
So I had to go somewhere else to cool off a little bit.
Yeah, she went to Facebook prison many times.
So many times.
And so she started going on TikTok, and then we went on a vacation in May of 2021 to Humboldt, and I was exhausted from my day job, and I was just yearning to do something creative. And the podcast, The Blind Man in Black, that I did was a space for me to find my creative voice again, because I hadn't performed or acted or did anything for many, many years. And that helped to do that. And then it launched me into stand-up comedy.
Launched
me. And then we went on this vacation in Humboldt in May of 2021, and I started to relax and started to feel good.
He jumped over a creek. I made him jump over a creek, and he did it. He won't even believe me when there's a curb, and he actually jumped from rock to. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of a metaphor for trust and love.
Okay.
And so we were at the ocean. We went to the beach, and then what happened?
Okay, yeah, I'm telling this part because you lie about it. So in Humboldt, there's sneaker waves, right? And the tide's coming in, and we're walking along the beach, and he keeps pulling me to the water, and I keep pulling him away from it. I'm going, okay, the tide's coming in. We're too close to the water. We gotta get over the. And he goes, no, we're not. How? What do you mean, no, we're not? How do you know? You can't see the. Why are you telling me? Why are you blindsplaining to me where we are and if it's safe or not? Because he does that all the time. And I got irritated. And then this is where we disagree on whose idea this was. It was probably yours. I'm just gonna not fight with you about it.
I don't think we agreed before we came on that this was
I don't
the correct
remember
story.
what we agreed.
Okay. Well, that's
So
selective
anyway,
memory. I guess.
said I could be facing you towards the mountain. You wouldn't even know the difference. So how are you telling me?
Okay. Yes, and that so that's when I said, why don't you face me towards the away from the ocean, and we'll do a video of me pretending to look at the ocean, but I'm looking at the rocks in the opposite direction. And I thought it would just be something for Facebook, our friends.
But I put it on TikTok immediately because that's how I am.
And it went viral immediately.
Yeah, really fast. And before that, I only had 3 videos of my kid doing a weird interpretive dance to video game music and me saying weird funeral home things.
And I said, this is what happens when I get a little bit of fucking rest and and I can get creative again. So that was the beginning of that. And I give you full credit for putting it on TikTok because I thought it was just going to be for our friends.
You're just not giving me credit for the joke.
No, the idea was my
okay.
idea. Yeah.
All right. But then we did it again in a movie theater.
Yes, and that was my idea as well.
Oh my God.
And it was the same joke.
Without me, you'd be nothing, Snyder, because you don't know how to use TikTok. So
right. No, I'm saying that you have full credit for the TikTok. I'm giving you all the credit for TikTok.
4.9 million.
But the creative
views
concept, that was from me.
It has to be because it's me being a dick to you because you're disabled. So if it's my idea, then it's really bad. But if it's yours, it's funny.
Okay. And
so I'm going to give you that one, even if it's not true.
Oh my God.
To make me
Jesus
look better.
fucking Christ. So, ooh, she's really holding on tight to this. All right. So then we're at the movie theater. It's an outdoor movie theater, and we're watching, what is that, George Clooney?
We just told this story. We don't need to go into detail.
All
I said
right.
we did a movie. We did the same thing in the movie. I faced him the wrong way, and he sat down facing the wrong way, and our son goes, "It's this way," and I'm like, "Shh." And it was like three seconds, and then it got 4.9 million views.
Yeah. And so it took off.
So we found our market.
Yeah.
Being mean to blind people.
And then, so skip ahead to now, and what we decided to do was use the TikTok as the platform to launch this podcast, The Exhausting Snyders.
Because now we're a very big deal. We're like, what are we? Micro?
We're micro
influencers?
influencers. We have almost 17,000
Or like mini
followers?
micro. Well, there's a scale, and we looked it up, and we're like, if you have this many.
we're micro.
We don't have that many followers. We only have like 17 almost thousand.
This matches my micro penis. So
Okay. I don't know why you say things like that. Why do you? I don't know why you do that.
Heyo.
Hey.
So, anyway, that's where we got to, and now we're trying to do a little bit of crowdfunding. Like, aren't we?
Yeah, we're gonna do a Patreon. We have
Okay.
a Patreon, and perhaps a Kickstarter.
right.
That's what we're looking at, so that we can do kind of like so we can make a bunch of episodes at once. And
What's the link to y'all Patreon?
I don't know. It's around. It's the
It'll
Exhausting
be edited in to this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
this
on
at the
lower
end.
third. Yes.
And but you can always search for it, The Exhausting Snyders, on TikTok, on Kickstarter, and Patreon. And
on all the places. We'll be on all the places right now.
yeah,
We're just
all
a
the
couple of
places. And so let's transition into the second part.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the things we're going to talk about, because so far it probably doesn't sound that appealing.
This has been great.
So, we met later in life, and we're both a little eccentric. We've got our,
And we're poor.
and we're poor, and we're crazy, and traumatized, and just both weird people in general. Brian has OCD, which I think is important to note at this moment, and I have ADHD. Those two are not very good marriages of disorders.
Well, let me explain what I have. Because
please do.
Yeah, it's called. Did I step
I just said
on
OCD.
your line?
No, by all means.
What's the
No.
what's the problem?
You have OCD. That's
Yes, I have OCD.
don't launch
yes.
into a big thing.
But I wanted to say I have Usher syndrome, which causes blindness and deafness. So I'm blind
That's
and I have
not the-
hearing loss.
that's not the problem, though.
30% hearing loss.
I don't mind the blindness. That's not an issue.
Okay. So, and then I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and I have all of them. I have germophobia, moral thought action fusion, obsessive checking.
Okay, you're launching into a thing.
I'm just trying to set the stage here for
People can
my
Google it.
psychosis
They know what that
so they
means.
understand how crazy I am.
Okay, well, spoiler alert.
I say let him speak.
All right.
It's a podcast.
Okay, fine.
All right. So
You're gonna get a whole DSMV rundown of.
all right. But the beautiful part about this whole thing is, so we're exploring my OCD, and through TikTok, you discovered that you had ADHD.
Yes, which sounds lame, but it's true. I did see a bunch of people, especially women that are older, that were gone misdiagnosed. I started to see. I was like, oh, because my son. They asked my son if maybe my son had it, so I looked into it, and I was like, no, but I do. And a lot of it explained a lot of issues that you had with me in general, because OCD and
Yeah.
ADHD do not get along very well in a
Yeah.
house. And so to prove that it's legit, I have gone and gotten an actual diagnosis, and they absolutely agreed with me 100%, and I had the history and all this stuff, which helped us a lot, because we spent the first 2 years of our relationship going at it over things that could be explained by both of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I would get I have trust issues because mainly because, I have this condition, and that's, a betrayal of the body. And I felt betrayed by my body. I had, experience of a lot of people lying to me throughout my life. So I feel like, it's hard for me to trust human beings. And so I would have trust issues. And then I would go into my, what do you call it, my lawyer mode,
Oh,
where I
yeah.
start asking questions.
Yeah, blind lawyer mode.
Yeah.
And then it goes into and then asks all these pointed questions, and they're all like he's accusing me of cheating. I have 2 children. I am in my 40s. I am tired. No. Cheating is exhausting. I have no interest in that. One is enough.
Right, right, and we'll get into that because so what we're trying to do right now is we're going to present, because this podcast is based on
How exhausting we are.
how exhausting we are, mainly because of the loss that we've experienced in our lives, like and the death and the dysfunction and
And the fun.
the 3Ds.
Yeah. So why don't you? Okay. So we're going to talk about why we're exhausted. Exhausting. So you go first.
So one of the things that it wasn't so bad at the beginning of our relationship. Like, now what I'm saying wasn't so bad is that she spends a lot of time in the bathroom. And so what I mean by that is, I would go to bed and then she would go into the bathroom about 11 p.m. and she'd probably be in there until about 3 or 4 a.m.
It's my quiet time.
And but in the beginning of our relationship, she would be in the bathroom, for like an hour or two, and she would get out of there about 12 a.m., 1 a.m., which is not bad.
But you kept complaining about it; just made it worse.
And then it got worse, and it was like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then with the pandemic, it was constant 4 a.m.
Okay, can I just point out that I lived I worked in a funeral home during COVID. That was a little stressful. I needed to unwind a little bit.
Yeah, but we didn't get to unwind
You're
together.
Sleeping.
You know what I'm talking about?
You're sleeping.
I'm talking about stress relief.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. So
this is
So she's in there every morning from basically, she's in there for 4 or 5 hours. And so I'm like, why the fuck? We don't get to spend any time together. I work over 40 hours a week. Like last year, I worked 10 days in a row, 12 hours a day, twice. Okay. And then I worked during the winter storm, I worked 9 days in a row, 10, 12 hours a day.
This is a really fascinating story. I hope you tell it to me again sometime. The point is that you have the sleep schedule of like a 70-year-old, and I have the sleep schedule of like a 20-year-old.
Aren't I supposed to be telling you how exhausting you are? So I'm telling you.
You're not. You're telling about how exhausting your job is.
Okay. Well, it's all intertwined. Okay. So one makes more.
Just get to it.
So the next thing is not only that she spends 4 or 5 hours in the bathroom during sleep hours. On top of that, during the day, when she uses the bathroom like to take a piss or whatever, I don't even know what she's doing in there. That's the other issue. I have no idea what she's doing in there for 4 or 5 hours. So during the day, she doesn't just go in there for like 5-10 minutes. She's in there for a minimum 20, 40 minutes at a time. Every time she goes into the bathroom.
We live with your parents. We have a small child. Every mom in that situation locks themselves in the bathroom. That's the that's the
Victoria, how much time do you spend in the bathroom?
How many small children do you have?
I have no children. Okay, our microphone just fell. I have no children, but if I'm getting ready for something, I'll spend like an hour in the bathroom. But
that's reasonable.
But if I'm not, getting ready for anything, I, maybe go in to, use the restroom and then leave or whatever. But yeah, I don't spend a lot of time.
See, that's normal.
Are you ever home alone? Do you ever have alone time in the house? Is the next question. Because
sometimes, I'd say sometimes.
I do not ever. And so
that's the problem.
That's my alone place. It's where I read. I read in there. That's what I'm doing most of the time. Is I'm reading uninterrupted, typically.
All right, Indy, do you feel that's accurate? What she just said?
Are you
asking
him to gauge if I'm a liar or not, or if?
No. I'm talking about Indy and Victoria.
Well, we both our jaws dropped when we heard 5 hours. So
yeah.
So I mean
that's the high end. By the way, he's got a that's not always the case.
The longest time she spends in there is prepping to be on a podcast, basically. So, but we also don't have kids. So
yeah, I'm hiding. I'm hiding from my family. Is what I'm doing.
There is a lot of times where she gets in the bed and literally my alarm goes off.
His alarm
20
goes
minutes
off
later.
Before 5 a.m. First of all, second of all, every time he gives me shit about it, it makes me. It's like this defiance disorder. Like I just stay in there longer. It's compulsive. Like I'm like, okay, that's irritating him. How about this many hours? Like I can't help that. If you tell me what to do, I'm going to do the opposite. It's
all right.
My nature.
All right. Well, let's move on
to the next thing
to
that bothers you about me.
The last thing that's exhausting. And this is I think truly sad. So I want to start out by saying that, my family and I, we purchase mobile devices, and, we're good Americans. We're good consumers. In fact, I think that we should be in a 4th of July parade behind the disabled veterans on a float on couches with other families, ignoring each other on mobile devices. I think that makes us true Americans, really. I mean, isn't consumerism the Ambien that leads the American dream, Rachel?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So anyway, but occasionally we put down the mobile devices to be present with each other. And like a few weeks ago, we went for a walk in the woods, like we do. And as we're walking, our son, Weeby, says to Rachel, or asks the question, "Are there bears out here?" And Rachel says, "Yes, there are bears out here." And then he asks, "Will they eat me?" And then Rachel says, "Yes, but I will protect you." And then he asks, "Will you protect Brian?" And then she says, "Yes. But if I had to make a choice, I would choose to protect you."
If I had to choose between, it was a Sophie's choice situation.
Right.
I would try to save you both. It's a bear, though. I mean, it's a fucking bear.
And then he said, "Why?" And you said, "Well, you smell like me. It is my natural instinct to protect you over Brian." And she was fine with that Nazi ableist eugenics response.
You mean he was? He was fine with it.
Yeah, well, you're both fine with it.
Well, okay, go ahead.
And so they goose-stepped up the trail, and they're way ahead of me, right?
Wow.
And then, and I was left behind, like most people with disabilities in our society. And and so, and finally, Rachel says, "Well, why don't we wait up for Brian?" And then Weeby says, "Can we just keep him in our minds?"
Which is his way of saying, just remember him.
Yeah, so I was dead to him, basically.
Well, no, you weren't yet. He
was fine.
Wasn't
with that.
Concerned.
Right.
You're taking a while. You were taking your time.
Yeah. All right.
So
that's why I'm exhausted.
So here's the thing: is that you always you look at it like you called me a Nazi, basically. What I was saying was that I am biologically wired to protect the child. And basically, I was saying if it wasn't because of nature, I might not choose him. I might choose you. But unfortunately, nature has wired me to specifically save him first. And so I was just letting him know.
But that doesn't make it better. That doesn't make me feel comforted and loved.
It wasn't supposed to make you feel better. It's supposed to make him feel better.
Why can't you?
How did you even hear us? You were halfway down the trail.
No, we were together before. Then you goose stepped off. And then but my point is that you could have just said, "I will protect you both," and left it at that. You didn't need to add that.
Because that's not true. Because that's not true. That's why. And I don't lie to my children. Wait
a minute. That's I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Okay. That's not okay. That was a lie.
All right, let's get on with why you're exhausted by me, because I'm exhausted by saying how exhausting you are. Okay. So let's move on.
Wow, we're gonna fight on the way home. So one thing that you find exhausting about me is that I don't answer your texts, and it makes you nuts, right? And it's so nuts that you text me several. Did you get my last text? Did you get my last 2 texts? Did you? And then you tell this, she ignores me, but you don't say that the things that you're texting me are not things that anyone should encourage or answer. You
know what would solve all of this shit? Is if she just, a reaction is fine. A thumbs up, a thumbs down, a ha-ha.
Okay, I'm going to read you
a heart.
A few of the texts that he's referring to that he expected, that he's butthurt he didn't get an answer to.
Butthurt.
First of all, half of them are passive-aggressive. Is your goal to get Weeby in the bath as late as possible? Is that a yes or no question, or are you just being right? So I'm not going to answer that. I'm ignoring that. Do you want me to rub some of my hot earwax on your bone graft? You sent that to me after I got my oral surgery. What response does that elicit, really? Besides, ew. No, and keep in mind, I'm in major pain, and I check it, and my phone. Really, that's what? Okay. No, I ignore you when you say stuff like that. You send me things like there's something moving on top of the ceiling fan when I'm not home. What? First of all, what could that possibly be? And second of all, I am not home. So what do you want me to do about it?
Well, I just want to talk with you. I just want to be.
You want to talk with me about that?
I want to be close with you.
The imaginary critter on top of the ceiling fan in the bedroom?
We have established that the reason that I irritate you is because I want your attention.
Okay, what I don't understand is why you should have learned by now that is not how you get it, because I ignore you. And then you send me things like, by the way, did you get my last 4 texts? Probably.
But then my
The phone
other
works.
tactic is to leave you alone, and then you just milk that.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next thing because that's not true. The other thing that is exhausting with you is that you are very like, oh, is my blindness, difficult for you, or is it making things hard? I'm too slow. But it isn't. It's never a problem for me. It's only a problem with me when you start blind-splaining things to me.
Okay.
Like you give me, like you try to give me directions when we're driving. But you don't just give me directions. You say, why are we going this way? Why'd you turn down this road? I'm like, what road? What road are we on right now? And you don't even know. And you're just asking me, well, aren't we supposed to turn a little farther up? No. And we live in a town that we both were born in. And it's very small. So it's not like we're going to get lost. So I'm just...
Okay.
Right? So you're backseat driving even when you can't see where we are.
All right.
And that's kind of like the whole, pulling me into the treacherous waves and being like, it's fine. Mm-hmm. And that makes me crazy because I need you to trust me that I'm going to keep us safe, and I don't need to be mansplained on how to do. Remember you asked me if I knew how to engage my 4-wheel drive?
Is that number 2?
What?
Are you still on number 1?
They do kind of blend together a little bit.
Yeah, they're very nitpicky.
Is that the same thing?
All right, so
they're very nitpicky? That is not nitpicky.
All right, go to the next one. Let's move on.
This right here. This is annoying.
Move on.
This is like, I'm just a blind man. I can't help it. I'm so vulnerable.
I am very vulnerable.
And then he's like this bulldog like lawyer, and he starts, where have you been and what are you doing? And well, that doesn't make sense. And he's very aggressive about that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't even know. Now it's all just running together.
Is that it? Because
is that it?
Can we move on to the next segment?
Yeah, let's please do that because.
See, but you notice the difference, folks? Listen to this. The difference is she's telling me it's fine that she lets me die. And then
there was no bear, by the way. This is hypothetical. So it's not like there was a bear and I was like, oh, well,
there are mountain lions,
you,
which
Brian.
we have not addressed.
Yeah.
There are vicious animals out in those woods. And it's a reality. But she's upset with me about sending her text about asking her if she received
if I want hot earwax on my bone graft in my mouth. And then why aren't you answering? What do you want the answer to be? That was a good one. It wasn't. It was gross. Is all I'm saying.
All right. What's the next segment?
And
by the way, these are going to be very interactive. So the idea is that we want to interact with y'all.
We want someone else to talk besides us talking to each other because Jesus Christ.
All right.
This is what happens when you spend too much time together. But
that's the whole point. You're in the bathroom all the time. We don't spend time
my
together.
God.
And I work over 40 hours a week. We don't spend
Can we
time.
just talk about, okay, we're going to move on. Because the reason I get in the bathroom so late is because I hang out with you after dinner, jerk face.
On your
Until you
phone.
go to sleep. Oh, wow. Okay. The next segment.
And then I hear like typing and tapping. One time we're in bed together and I'm laying there and I'm like feeling, I got these 2 balls right between my shoulder blades, in between my shoulder blades and my spine.
Where are you going
just tension,
with this?
just pure tension,
okay.
right? And I hear this tapping, rubbing thing going on. I know she's on her phone and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm on a mindful app and it's called a Flibberty Gibbet, and you have to rub the stress out of this little animated ball that's called a Flibberty Gibbet.
You just smooth it out. And
I'm sitting here with just years of a blind tension and anxiety all in my
That's
body.
Not even a thing.
And she's rubbing out this thing on her screen, and I need to be rubbed out. I mean, I don't mean that way, but I mean
that's enough.
I mean rubbed out like massage.
That's the other thing is you're just upset. You're just okay. You make everything sexual and weird, uncomfortable.
That wasn't sexual. That was I just said
there was no insinuation. There was no.
That's why I corrected. I said that it's not that rubbed.
You
out.
say something lewd no matter what I say, and it's not it's not to be hot. It's to be creepy or uncomfortable. And then you're like, why don't we have sex all the time? Because you say weird shit to me all the time.
Wow, this is a revelation.
Does that arouse you? And it'll be something gross, he knows, the hot earwax. Does that arouse you? No.
All right.
And then he's like, why aren't you into me right now?
All right. What's our next segment?
So the next segment. So I'm a death advocate, which sounds weird. I'm not advocating that everybody dies. I don't have to.
You kind of do want
everybody's
everybody
going.
to
I
die
don't. I have
sometimes.
nothing to do with it. They already do. I can't. That's nothing to advocate. It already
All right,
happens.
go ahead.
It's inevitable for all of us. But it did become a job at some point, strangely enough. And I was at first kind of academic and doing lectures on like cultural stuff and different, suicide prevention and, just kind of like, up here stuff. And then I got cancer and I had to face my own mortality at 38 years old while pregnant and with a teenager. And I didn't get to know my prognosis until well into the treatment. And it shut my whole life down. And I didn't know how much time I would have for a minute. And then I got my prognosis and it was better than expected. So I lucked out there. But I did get that feeling of like knowing what it's like to be close to it. Or have to face it. And then, like I mentioned, my father died shortly after that. He was the closest person to me and my best friend, and it was a very difficult experience. And I had also found out during that time that all the advocating I had been doing in my career already wasn't necessarily right, because I was, preaching advanced directives and the right to die stuff. And when it came down to my father, I found out that they don't always have to obey this rule because of this weird loophole. Like I found out stuff that you would only find out if you were in it as opposed to researching it, right? So I learned a whole bunch more about my own work. And so by that time, I just kind of felt like I belonged in the land of the dead, right? Like I'd been doing that work for so long and I'd been dealing with it for so long that no one wanted to talk to me about anything because that's all I would talk about. I was very depressing and I didn't feel like I belonged in the land of the living much. And so after my dad died, I had my best friend worked at a mortuary and he asked if I wanted to do some data entry. And I didn't have a job. And I said, sure, whatever. And one of the funeral counselors got sick with cancer shortly after I started. And I just got thrown in there because she immediately quit to go into treatment. Like, okay, well, you better take care of the next family. I was like, whoa. Okay. And that ended up being something I really loved and was into and was very healing for me and very fulfilling. And I was a funeral counselor for 3 years. And I did quit during COVID, but for other reasons. But one thing I learned about the mortuary is that it is the funniest fucking place on earth because everybody's using humor to cope with what we see every day, every Wednesday. Is not, you're like your bad day on a Wednesday is you lost your lunch on the way to work or you got to stay late. And ours is like, a 4 casualty car accident that we have to go scrape off. So, when that's your daily thing, you kind of have to be funny or an alcoholic because people usually pick one. Some pick both. But
Funny alcoholics.
I'm an obsessive note taker. I always have been. I photograph and record and write down literally everything. Because I find almost everything interesting, except for Brian's texts, obviously. And and the whole 3 years I was at the mortuary, I was keeping a running list of things that I overheard that were funny. So I was going to share some of those. Training people is always exciting in the mortuary because there's stuff that isn't instinctual that you kind of have to point out. One of them is please don't tell people to have a nice day. It's insensitive. Why? Oh. Right? Like you don't, so like your mother died, I'm so sorry. Have a nice day. Like when they leave, like it's not customer service. You're not, right? Easy peasy Lyme disease was one I picked up from during my training. Sometimes the families were funny, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. Like I heard a woman yell, I wasn't sitting with her, but I heard her yell while I was walking down the hallway. My son didn't do cocaine. He couldn't afford it because he had just gotten causes back. And she didn't believe that he had died of cocaine overdose because he didn't have money.
It does sound like a punchline.
Yeah. But no, she was sad. She was very upset. But sometimes it's on purpose. I did have someone come in. She came in late. I had to lock the doors before she left. I had to go let her out. And instead, she grabbed the doorknob and put her foot on the door and went, I'm trapped in the mortuary with my dead mom, which I thought was hilarious. She could have worked there, probably. And then, everybody who works there, you're all a little crazy. I mean, it takes a certain person to be in that job and to be able to stomach the things that you say every day. And you do get desensitized. And I did have to say several times to one of our employees, to ask them, please not to put dead bodies in the break room. Because, please don't put people in here because we eat in here. And he'd go, ew, why do you eat in here? There's a dead body in here. And that wasn't even intentional. That's just like logic. He's like, well, ew, don't eat in here. It's gross. To be fair, you don't want to eat anywhere in the whole building, really, because, lunch meat to jaundice corpse is a hard transition to make.
Yeah, there's decomposition so that those particles are floating in the air.
Well, I guess.
I mean, it's like when somebody takes a dump. What you're smelling is the little particles of feces, right? So that's the same thing with decomposition. You're getting the whiff of somebody's
they're
dead
in
body.
bags in a cooler. They're
You're
not
inhaling death.
They're not flushing around in water and being like spun everywhere in a tornado. They're actually like sealed up somewhere.
Right, but you got to unzip them. So when you unzip them, that wafts out.
Okay. Not
I think
really.
you nailed it.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what's happening. We had vacuum seal during COVID. That was exciting. With the same thing as like a food thing. It's a crimper. They just burn like bio bags. That was exciting.
You mean like when they put the DVD wrappers, they'd shrink wrap them?
Exactly, but with dead people. And then just the daily like office stuff. Like, are we out of stamps? Blah blah. What is this charge from the post office? Oh, that's Mrs. Davis. Well, why was it so cheap? Well, she got eaten by a bear. Like it's a wacky place to be. And I would come home and tell these stories to Brian. And at first he was super fascinated. And then it got to where he's like, please just stop. Don't tell me about your day at all.
I don't think I ever said that.
Yes,
I did
you
not say that.
You said it depressed you.
I did not say that. That is so untrue. I can guarantee you I did not say it depressed me.
See, this is why I tape everything.
I don't. Where did
I'm
this
gonna find
happen?
the
I do
tape.
not know. I'll tell you this. I'll be completely honest, like I always am. I thought about saying that, but I did not say that.
Okay, I think you said it in a moment of passion and not sexy kind. I think we should take some calls. Is what so we would like to take calls from people because we did a lot of interviewing on the last podcast and that was super fun. So we don't want to just be us because we're exhausting. So we did have a couple people call in some questions for us and are fascinating.
What's the number if the listeners want to submit one?
Keep listening to the podcast, and we'll get a number eventually.
And someday we'll get our shit together, and then you can do that.
Yeah,
no, we've been
it's-
having them texted to us.
I think it's very clear we don't have our shit together.
Okay.
So just let it know that that's part of being exhausted is not, having our shit together.
So I put my phone number out publicly for people, and then he got mad at me and was like, take that down immediately.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I mean,
he says, what if someone who you don't want to call calls you? Anyone who calls me, I don't want to call me because I don't like talking on the phone. So that's everybody. And that's what blocking is for. It's 2022.
All I'm trying to say is
you can look it up on the
keep
internet.
Listening, and eventually we'll get our shit together to have a phone number.
I'll give you
I'll
mine.
help you guys get
We'll just put mine out
thank you.
later. Okay. Anyway, so we did get some calls.
Is there a caller?
Caller number 1 coming up.
Hi, my name's Marisa. I'm calling from Alameda with a question for the exhausting Snyders, mostly for Brian. Brian, Rachel's kind of a lot, right? How much has your life changed since she came into it, and what's the biggest thing that has changed?
How dare you, madam?
Hi, Minnie.
So
I'm a bit much. Is that what she said? What does that mean?
You're kind of a lot, I think she said.
Oh, kind of a lot.
Yeah. And I think,
A lot of awesome.
what Rachel has done for me, I always say this, is that she has brought life into my own internal death that has happened to me. And what I mean by my eyes are dying, my ears are dying, and sometimes it feels like my soul's
The soul's
dying.
a little dead, yeah.
Especially, I feel like I'm living in, whatever that quote is, a man living in quiet desperation. So, I'm not doing what I have a day job that sucks the life out of me. And so what she does is she breathes life back into me. And not only that, she helps me to understand what love is. And because I don't think I've ever... Is that your phone?
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm trying to be tender here, and I hear are you texting right now?
You're the one derailing yourself. I'm just sitting here.
Okay. And so that's probably true. That's a metaphor for my life.
Okay.
I derail myself.
Do you need to know where you're going with this, or?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that I learned
The tender moment's over.
learned
It's
how to
ruined.
love through you, and that's the whole point.
Is that because you learned to love someone despite them driving you crazy? Is that you learned what love is because you still love me even after living with me for 4 years?
No, I mean I'm constantly, I love you more each day. Isn't that a song? I love you more. each day than yesterday?
No, we're not doing bad DJ.
Maybe
date night
that
right
would
now.
be that's a great lead
Okay.
into date night, horrible DJ. Not late night. Did I say late night? I meant date night. So anyway, yeah, that's basically it. And thank you, Marisa, for your call. And we're going to be doing this a lot, having people call in about their questions.
And also,
concerns,
you're a
or
lot,
complaints.
Marisa. You're kind of a lot too. So it's. And Brian is a whole lot, a lot more than he shows.
Diva Marisa, divamarisa.com. Is that Diva Marisa? Okay, we plugged you. All right, next caller, please.
Next.
Hey Brian, this is an anonymous friend. You can call me Carmela, and I'm calling in from Oregon to ask you about a time in your life that's a mystery to me. So if you recall, we lived together briefly in LA when we were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 19-year-olds and trying to make our way on the mean streets of LA. You were in college and you were just this sweet Broadway singing, fedora wearing, Michael Bublé emulating, just sweetheart. And I lived with you for a little while, and then the next thing I heard, you were one of the most decorated porn writers in the history of time. And so I would like to know how you went from Sweet Brian to just, a prolific and decorated porn writer. I think the fans and the listeners are owed that story because I'm sure it's a great one. So thanks for sharing and sending love to you and Rachel.
Is it the mean streets of Sherman Oaks?
I love you too, Carmela Soprano. I don't like how she said emulating Michael Bublé. That bothered me. Did that bother you a little bit?
I don't know who Michael Bublé is.
Okay.
So I don't
Well,
get it.
he sings standard songs. Anyway, what happened is after I graduated from UCLA, I got my master's in directing from there. I got very scared because my eyesight changed, and because I was told I learned that I had Usher syndrome when I was 19. And I was told that I would have useful vision into my 50s, so I'm thinking I could drive and read and everything, so I'll have a lot of time. And I noticed when I graduated UCLA, my eyesight got worse, and I got very scared. And so I thought, shit, I have a degree, an undergraduate degree in theater acting, a master's degree in directing. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. How am I going to make money? And it's going to take me years to make it in the mainstream biz, and if I make it at all. And so my only thought was maybe I should get into porn. So I started contacting the major porn companies that I knew at that time. Was Vivid, Wicked Pictures, and Digital Playground. So Digital Playground responded, and I was thinking of directing, and they said, "Can you write?" And I said yes, even though I hadn't written a thing. And I sent in some writing samples, and I ended up writing Pirates XXX for Digital Playground under the pseudonym Max Massimo. And then I wrote later on Pirates 2, Stagnetti's Revenge, won an AVN award for that one. And that's how I got into the adult film industry. And we're going to be talking a lot more about it because we're going to have a segment of, I don't know what it's going to be called yet.
It's going to be called Porn Stories from the Past.
Porn Stories from the Past. A lot of plosives in there.
I have a question. And I don't think I ever really picked up on this when you told me that story before, obviously, but did you not understand that you were going to gradually go blind? Or you just thought you were going to lose it at 50?
I didn't know. I mean, I at the time when I learned, I was in denial, and I had some magical thinking. I was hoping there'd be a cure. There was a lot of different things that went through my mind, but I thought, I didn't know. I mean, I thought that possibly there would be a little shift, but it wouldn't be so drastic. But it seemed like every, 7 years, it seemed like it got much worse. And so
yes, this long, drawn out, miserable, that'll last for years, and then it finally ends.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping it would be like that. I was hoping I would have perfect 20/20 vision until I was 50.
And then on your 50th birthday, everything would go black.
and that would be it. But I didn't.
You should tell the people that you don't see all black. That's like what you actually see, because it's terrible.
It started out with not being able to see in low lighting, then peripheral vision loss around the knee level,
So you could hide from him if you got low. If you were low.
Yeah, so like
he
I
couldn't see
would crouch. No, actually, my roommate Matt would crouch low and then try to scare me and jump up. And
because he said you'd fall over like a fainting goat in the fetal position.
Yes, that is true. And coffee tables were always an issue in low lighting. So yeah, I mean, and then I developed something called photopsia, which is flashing lights, and then on cataracts, and it's just a shitstorm of and it's visual noise. It's not a peaceful thing. It's not
peaceful
blackness.
darkness. It's like flashes in his face.
Yeah, it's like constant noise, and it's distracting, and I can barely think. I barely get through this podcast. It's so distracting.
That'd be so annoying.
Yeah,
that's sorry that happened to you.
You're not sorry.
No, I am.
Okay.
I'm not. You know what? The only reason I'm not sorry is because I have always felt that you would have been such a douchebag if you hadn't lost your sight.
True.
Because you would have been like an LA white, privileged, highly educated. Like, yeah, you'd be a jerk.
Let's talk about something that happened. Remember, in the hotel room yesterday, I was trying to get to the bathroom and I was like fumbling around looking for the doorway, and I knew you were looking at me, and I said, "Did you enjoy this a little bit?" And she's like, "And what'd you say?" I
said no, because I don't. He says that all the time. Was it fun watching me like slam my head? No, it's not fun. Sometimes it is when you're being a dick. And it's only if he's being a dick about being blind. Like if he's like, my thing isn't here. It has to be here. Where somebody took it. It's got to be gone. Like, no, you're just blind and you can't find it. That can't possibly be the reason he can't find it. Is that he can't see? Someone's taken it. It's missing. There's a big mystery. Can I help you look for it? No, you wouldn't know where it is. I know it was right here. And then so I'm like, fine, go for it. You're on your. Oh, is it there? No, it isn't. Oh, okay. How about there? No, because in like 5, he won't let me help him with stuff. So that's when I enjoy it. Then I think it's kind of funny.
A little, what is it called?
You deserve Schadenfreude. Yeah, you deserve it because you just make both of our lives easier and let me look for you, but you act like that's some big pain in my ass to walk 2 feet and look. Well,
I'm insecure. I'll say it. I'm insecure, doesn't it make sense? Everybody, listen. Doesn't it make sense that I would be insecure, just feeling vulnerable? Like I don't know what's coming at me. I mean, people are grabbing me and pulling in me in directions, and I don't know where the fuck I'm going or what they're going to do.
This is about you finding your Lysol wipes in your computer bag. This is not about people grabbing you on the street corner.
All right.
Do you trust me to look for your Lysol wipes?
I do.
Okay.
But sometimes I just want to look myself.
Okay. Well, how's that going?
Not well.
Yeah.
Not well.
So I'm just saying.
Sometimes I have to suffer for my wishes.
Yeah.
All right. Next segment.
You're done with that one, huh?
Yeah.
What was that? That was porn stories from the past? You didn't tell a porn story. Are you gonna
No, but that's the whole point. It's a teaser to get people to.
Yeah, I know what a teaser is. See? Right there. Mansplaining. Do you know how to work your four-wheel drive?
Isn't it blind-splaining? Isn't that what you call it?
Why are you turning down this road? I have no idea what road it is. Did you know that there's a sticker in your windshield that tells you when you need your next oil change? Not if you change your own oil, Brian. When was the last time you drove a car? Besides mine, a couple years ago.
The last time I drove a car was
my car.
In July. Well, 2008. I drove my father.
No, you drove my car like
cancer.
Last year. I came out. My car was moved.
I only moved it like 10
feet. Did you move
feet.
my car? And he's like, yeah, I just want to remember what it felt like. Don't drive my car.
I just wanted to do a little son of a woman.
We have like a 6-foot drop wall that you could have just. Okay.
No.
Don't drive my car, please. The next segment, and we are in a fight over who came up with this because it totally sounds like me. It doesn't sound like something he'd say. Is Brian's drama circle jerk.
Okay.
And I just don't see you saying circle jerk because it's.
I'm pretty sure I said it. And it's recorded, so we'll find out.
Because I record all of our arguments and all of our...
Yes, that's for the divorce proceedings. She's getting prepared for all the ammunition she needs to bury me.
It's for clarity, Brian.
Right. Is that what your lawyer tells you?
I don't. You're my lawyer.
Okay, that's true.
So to explain what that is...
I'm my own worst enemy. That is absolutely true.
That's absolutely true. Is Brian's... imagination. I don't know if it's always been this way or it's just been since you can't see so you're bored. But
I mean, I'm always I would like to think that I'm imaginative, and but I think when I was at Cal Arts and acting school, we used to do these improvisations.
He's an actor,
and what you try to do is think of the most dramatic like scene and ramp it up very quickly,
Which he applies to our daily lives.
And somehow that got into my subconscious, and I think cocaine did something to open up a pathway that I didn't want to open up, but I'm pretty sure it opened up a lot of problems.
We're just saying everything.
But it's so important to me to be truthful.
Okay, after you just talked about, so let me give you an example. I had roommates, and there was a little, like someone had a cut finger or something and touched my door, and I went, ew, there's blood on the door, and I wiped it off. And we drive away, he starts hyperventilating, and it's like, what did you do? Did you touch it? Why was it there? Whose was it? I'm like, I don't know. And I wasn't sure why he was so upset. And then he finally explained that in his mind, when I said that, ew, there's a little bit of, there's some blood on the door, that there was like dripping with like serial killer. And he was describing this thing to me that I don't know where he got it. I'm like, that's not. And he's like, and then you touched it and now it's on your hands. I'm like, no, none of that happened.
That like just a few days before, like she lived near this bar that was like this old West style bar. And
someone was disemboweled at the bar.
And yes. So like,
not at my house.
Is that far? It was like literally within walking distance.
Okay,
like,
but if it was,
you could see the bar from
if there
her
was
house.
blood pouring, if there's this like it's a murder scene, do you think my reaction would be, oh, there's some blood on the door?
Maybe.
And like
I
I
don't
go
know
get
how
a
you react to
Lysol
trauma.
wipe from your bag.
I don't know how you react to trauma. I don't know.
Ew, there's some blood on the door, and it's like Carrie. No, but your imagination just takes it. Oh, or when I say things, and you take them super seriously and make up your own story about them, like the whole them thing.
Okay. Well, this is very important because we want you, the audience, to interact with us and tell us if
Who's
I'm being
right.
crazy or she's being crazy. So the thing is, like, for example, like something that happened recently, and this is a perception thing. So I was working out and I was super stinky and sweaty, and she tries to hug me, and I say, I just want you to know I'm really stinky and sweaty. And she goes, that's how I like them. Them. So she's putting, it's like plural, like it's not just, she didn't say, that's how I like you, baby, Brian Snyder.
That's not how the saying goes.
There's a saying, that's how I
like
'em?
my coffee, like my women, hot
Once
and
again,
or whatever.
women, plural.
I mean, to be fair, she said EM.
I did say, that's how I like them. Apostrophe
but isn't
EM.
That's the contraction of them.
Who is the rest of
But
them?
I agree, it's a saying.
It is a saying. It's a joke
she
saying.
She could be assuming your pronouns.
Right,
can you
there
turn
we go.
off your mic, Indy? Please?
No.
Please turn off your mic.
Go on. And what did you think I meant? What? How many weeks did you think about that? And keep in mind, it's because I was hugging you regardless of you not wanting me to because you were stinky. I hugged you anyway. But your brain went to.
Okay, that's how I like them, and that is the contraction of them.
Just
and them. Anyway, so another thing happened.
No. You say what? Oh, did you see how he just because we told you the story earlier. He just totally skipped over his part, right? What you thought I meant was I was prepping a conversation for what?
Well, this is important why I tell the next part of it, because it's all interconnected.
We have to tell the next part of it.
So I thought of that, and then like a few days later, we're watching a movie, like family movie night, and polyamory came up, and then she said to me,
I thought it was cheating came up.
No, well, yeah, whatever. It was all in that genre, and you said to me, if you slept with someone else, I don't think I would divorce you. So my immediate thought was, is she trying to open up the doorway to have an extramarital sexcapade?
Yeah, I'm just like casually slipping these things in subconsciously to get the wheels greased for my harem of men from our weird little redneck town that I'm going to keep in the backyard.
See that
what
there
are
it
you
is
talking
again.
About?
There it is again. It's the place. It's not like if she was in a major city like here we are in Chobo Studios in Los Angeles.
Hence the
like
drama circle jerk.
place.
He's doing it right now. He's in a drama circle jerk by himself.
Appreciate the plug. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't do it earlier. I was a little nervous.
Fine.
I was a little nervous and I fucked the intro up. But so the point is, though, that's where it goes. If she was in a larger, more place where more men were accessible, and she might be open to the idea of
I'm barely open to the idea of you.
Wow.
I was done. I mean, I'm. This is my third marriage.
This is the
I have
pilot.
2 children. I'm in my 40s. I was ready to go straight cat lady. I was done with this nonsense. And I made an exception for you. And you seem to think that I'm this like sex kitten that's like raring to go and looking for like sex parties and partner. And no, I just want to be left alone in the fucking bathroom.
But you had
really?
you had your little limerick though that you didn't mention. Your
What
like
limerick
what
is
is
that?
it you
A
can
limerick?
Yeah,
I have a
I don't know
limerick?
what it was. It was just like some saying that you had about friends with Bennies. You said
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah, saying that I wasn't going to stop having sex necessarily. I wasn't, 80. I'm just saying no more relationships.
Okay.
I was done with relationships, and I made an exception for you. But you seem to think that I'm like, I want to go to like orgies, and you ask me weird.
feel like
every
this-
time I mention anyone male. Oh, were you ever attracted to him? Was he ever attracted to you? Do you guys ever sleep together?
Well-
and I am so old and tired, and that is not. It's so weird.
I feel like this has become like evidence for possible divorce proceedings. Is this what this podcast has become?
You're the one who keeps bringing up divorce. All I meant by saying that I wouldn't divorce you if you cheated on me was not that I kind of. I'm talking. I'm not. I'm not saying I wouldn't divorce you because I'm kind of into that. What I'm saying is I'm too lazy to divorce you no matter what you do. So FYI, you'll sleep on the couch for a while and it'll be an unpleasant couple months. But I don't have the energy to divorce you, so it's fine.
I
That's what
will.
I meant.
Let me put a little caveat in there. She did say before. She said, this is exactly what she said. Now, don't get any ideas, but if you had sex with someone else.
Yeah, because I knew exactly where you were going with that because I met you. So
Right.
I always regret these things when I say them out loud because I know where you're going to go. All right, so that was the big deal. Those are
So
examples.
that's Brian's drama circle jerk.
Yeah, unless you've
So
got.
and you can call in and express your thoughts on whether my opinion is absolutely valid, which it generally is.
Oh my
and then
God.
Whether she has any ground to stand on.
Can I tell the tights story?
The what story?
The tights. Oh no, because we're already fighting about that one too. About whether they were fishnets or about the hole
They
in
were
the tights.
fishnets.
They were not fishnets. You don't wash fishnets in the washing machine.
I'm telling
There's a
you.
hole in the crotch of my tights. I am 5'7". I'm all leg. All my tights split in the crotch. Every tall girls, back me up here. It's tights. They either go up to here or anyway.
All right, Victoria.
He's like, what is this?
Victoria, get
What
on the
is
mic,
this?
please.
No,
So, Victoria, do all of your fishnets
they're
they
not
split in the
fishnets.
crotch?
They
I
weren't
have
fishnets.
to say though, I'm only 5'3", 5'4", so I'm not tall.
It's
I
a
don't know if
sizing thing.
Is it really a tall thing?
Yes, because tall girls, they come up to here, or the crotch hangs really low, like this low, below your crotch. Well, you can't see, but like 6 inches below your crotch. And so when you walk, it splits the crotch of your tights. Yes.
All right, I need more people to call in and validate
Okay, yeah, we'll
this.
take a poll on that later. But the point is
Because
that he's like holding it out to me, and he's like, "What is this?" Like I'm having weird.
Well, I'll tell you
On my lunch
why.
break from the funeral home, I'm like going to weird sex clubs with glory holes. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll tell you why. I mean, I have made those holes in fishnets.
See, this is
before.
all about Brian. That's my point.
Indy, I don't want to get you in any hot water here, but
Any
have you,
hot water, but I'm
I
going
mean, have
to.
you made the holes in the fishnets?
Oh, I gotta say I haven't. That's one of the things I need to get on quick.
They were not.
See, now I'm
fishnets.
helping your
were not.
marriage by this. All right. Well, that's
Why
good.
would you be washing my? He was doing my laundry, to be fair. Why would you be washing my fishnets? Where would I wear fishnets? It was wasn't COVID or I worked in.
Yeah,
funeral-
it was. You were working
the
at
sex
the
club?
funeral home and
in a town that doesn't even have a Target. We don't even have a Target. There's no weird sex club there for me to go to on my lunch breaks. That's what I'm talking about. It's just you go way out there and around the corner and then to some.
Well, we'll let the audience decide. We'll let the audience decide who's, I don't want to say right or wrong, but let's say
Who's lying and who isn't? Because that'd be you.
I don't lie. It's the only thing I do is I do theater.
Yeah.
And that is for
That's theater. That wasn't lying.
and
that was
that's
theater.
true. I believe the only place we should lie is in art, unless or if your life is dependent upon it, you sometimes do have to lie. Or
Okay.
you're-
Shush. Listen.
Makes for good stories.
Listen.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what to say sometimes. So that's kind of this is a window into our and we wouldn't think it was so interesting if other people didn't. But I think it's kind of like a freak show interest. It's not like, oh, we're really interested in you guys and your story. It's more like,
Right.
Jesus Christ, what else is wrong with you two?
Do we have another segment?
But whatever.
We have another segment.
I'm working. Oh, by the way, I was talking.
Okay.
So here's the next segment. By the way, the last segment, I think, is Brian doesn't listen to what I'm saying half the time. And when I know he's totally tuned out is he interrupts me mid-sentence by saying, by the way. And I didn't notice it until about 3 months in. And then I was like, oh, that's his signal that he's doesn't not care at all what I'm saying, because he changes the subject that way. So I'm like, so I went down and I had to go to the dry cleaners, and he'll go, by the way, I was weeping in my cubicle when I wrote that Facebook post. So it'll have nothing to do with what I was saying at all. Like he was thinking about some totally different thing, and he's been done pretending to listen to me. So by the way, he changes the subject that way to the weirdest things. And I've been writing those down for 4 years. And, by the way, like, hey, do we need to go grocery shopping later? I think we should get some spaghetti. And it goes, by the way, leave that thing on your nose alone and put some ointment on it. Like, can you just pretend could it be somewhat related to what I'm saying? So I kind of feel like you heard a word.
By the way, so I was thinking earlier about the whole like TikTok when we were at the ocean.
By the way, did you get my last
idea,
4 texts?
And I want to make that very clear
Oh
here. That was my idea. Thank you, by the way.
By the way, when did I start talking? That was one. When I was talking. You started talking just now when you interrupted me.
See, the thing is, like, and my buddy Matt Dittman, he'll verify this. Rachel wants a monologue. She doesn't want a conversation. She wants to have a monologue and everybody to be an audience.
You are so dead. You're such a liar.
And
Matt, his friend Matt that met me 2 days ago, first of all, based on what he said, because he was saying he didn't interrupt me. He interrupts me all the time. This is why I tape every single argument, because you are a liar and your pants are on fire.
Victoria,
You're
do you tape your
liar.
arguments? Or you don't tape?
It's not a healthy thing to do.
Absolutely not.
It is not a healthy thing to do.
I don't tape anything.
But he's well aware that I do it. I mean, I tell him I'm taping this.
Rachel,
because you're full of shit right now.
Rachel is the Richard Nixon of our marriage.
I got into that habit. Well, when I was, and then I'm not a fan of gaslighting or the changing. Even when I get mad, I say things and I forget what I say, and then I'm like, I didn't say that. So it's to keep us both honest, Brian. And it's not in secret. It's not like I'm using it against you in court. I can't. It's not legal to do that. This is not a state for that. It's just for our own growth.
But with social media, you could put that out there in the world.
Yeah, I can. So what?
No.
There's not gonna be any monetary.
I mean, let's be honest. The
that.
Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial just ended, and did we not hear all the tapes?
Yeah, they did exactly the same thing because they're smart. That's how you solve disagreements.
And it came out very well for Johnny, didn't it?
Exactly.
Smart's a good word.
Yeah. And I, if we did go to court, I would come out. I would be the Johnny in that situation.
See, but what it did is subconsciously, before the whole court proceedings began, it put that in, who was right, who they thought was right in their mind.
I don't understand what we're arguing about, because I totally agree with all of that. And the thing is that I'm smarter than you, and that's why I do it. Because if you were smart, you do it when I was being a jerk.
Did everybody hear what she just said?
Yeah. If you did it when I was being a jerk, you would have the same evidence, but you don't.
Okay.
So we both have tape recorders. It's not like I'm the only one. Like I steal yours and you can't do the same thing to me. You don't have to, because I'm accountable for what I say. Anyway, by the way.
Wow. Wow.
So.
I want a little reverb on my wow, on that wow. Can you put some reverb? Wow. Wow. I want it to echo.
So. Our content on TikTok is much shorter and more concise than this, thank God. But pretty much consists of me doing mean things to Brian, mostly taking him to places that he wants to go, but not actually taking him there because he can't tell where we are. So, right. So like I take him. He has to go to Niagara Falls, so I take him to the car wash and hit him with the spray instead, or I take him to the. He wants to go to the Grand Canyon. I take him to the sinkhole outside of town. And I feel like this podcast is going to be an extended version of that kind of, but we don't go anywhere. I just push you off metaphorical
I don't know.
cliffs.
I'm feeling something coming in the air. Oh. Andy, do you feel something coming in the air?
I do, Brian.
Please don't. That's enough. Oh my God. You have the musical taste of a 65-year-old woman. You know that?
But it takes me places, and
yeah, back to the 80s, to when you were a housewife, or like doing your part-time job as a waitress while your kids were. Yeah, I know. It takes us back.
So, but the point is, this leads us into another segment about our date nights, because we have a lot of problems. So didn't you say that, like, we were talking about this, and you're like, a lot of our problems stem from our date nights?
Because our date night is supposed to be, because you were whining about not spending enough time together, so I made a date night. And then you're like, you're just doing that to humor me. And I'm like, yes, but whatever. That's what couples do, right? You do date nights.
So it's true you're humoring me?
Brian, this has been going on for like 3 years now, the date night thing.
Okay.
What do we do for date night? So COVID hit, we stopped going out to dinner. So what did we do? We started like trying to talk and connect.
Right.
But by the way, I would start talking, and since I only do monologues, apparently, he would get bored, and I'd say a word that would remind him of an old 80s song. And so he'd interrupt me in mid-sentence and go, "Hey Siri, please play Phil Collins."
Hey Indy, play "At This Moment" by Billy Vera.
Coming up.
What did you think I would do at this moment?
See,
Okay, that's enough.
Did you see how that just diffused all that tension?
It does. So he
See?
So he interrupts me every 5 minutes with a bad horrible DJ session of the worst Hall & Oates, Huey Lewis and the News.
Hall & Oates, come on.
Bette Midler.
Your best friend, Tim Lilliquist, loves Hall & Oates.
I don't have to live with him.
Right.
His wife has to deal with that. That's not my problem. Bette Midler, Brian Snyder. Bette Midler. How...
Well, I mean, it's fitting, since you are the wind beneath my wings.
Oh my God. It hurts me. But that's why we do date night, because you're high, because you've eaten gummies.
Yeah, I have a...
And they're like, oh, wait. That totally reminds me of this song. Hold on. You might remember this one from roller skating when you were 8. He's younger than me. He listens to Frank Sinatra and crappy 80s music, like Sade and stuff like that.
She does. I do feel like sometimes you make me feel like I'm not punk rock enough.
You're not.
Like, wow, that hurt.
What?
That hurt a little
Oh,
bit.
is that what you're going for? If you were going for that, that would be mean, but it's not.
Okay. All right.
He was a theater nerd. If we met in high school, we would not have talked. He had to go blind first, and I had to have cancer before this could happen. Because I would have been your friend sometimes if you gave me rides places, but that's about it.
I would have definitely given you rides places.
Sweet.
that's
So
for
yeah,
sure.
we would have had a friendship.
But,
I need rides places.
But it's true. I mean, that's how fate works, or love works.
It is.
The loss brought us together, the pain, the suffering, and now we just cling to each other.
And the mutual bullshit keeps us together, because no one else is going to put up with our crap at all. Either one of us.
That's true.
So it's best this way.
And do we have any more segments?
No.
All right. Well, this concludes the pilot.
We have other ones, not ones we're going to talk about just yet. They're all secret.
All right. So please, please check out our Kickstarter campaign and our, what is it called? Patreon?
Yeah.
And
the Patreon's already set up, and the TikTok is already, that's where our macro influencing is happening.
yeah, we're micro influencing.
Oh,
so,
right.
But we're hoping the macro influence through, we're going to try to produce more
This is actually
content.
educational, believe it or not.
Yeah. So please check out the Exhausting Snyders on TikTok. Check out our Kickstarter for this podcast, the Exhausting Snyders, a 3D podcast, death, dysfunction, and disability, and our Patreon, which we're trying to get our shit together.
I think that one of the Patreon gifts or like rewards should be release of the tapes. Like snippets of the tapes, the real tapes.
Oh, yeah.
There is
That'd
one.
be awesome.
There is.
I keep
one,
a journal too. I have a written.
There is one that I do this dramatic flourish where I go,
so good.
and you're perfect.
You're perfect.
And if you donate, you're gonna have to donate a lot to hear that one, because that was
well, and he walked, and then he left. He made an exit, but then he always comes back because he's never done. He's like, and another thing.
Yeah, I do. I do, and another.
He does
thing.
at least 5 of those dramatic exits.
I do want the last word. Don't we all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See. All right. So this was the Exhausting Snyders podcast.
It was exhausting.
At Chobo Studios in Los Angeles, California. Thank you, Indy and Victoria, for having us here and allowing us to record this here.
And Marisa and Carmela.
Thank you.
For
Happy to be here.
questions.
Yeah. Thank you all. All right. And our awkward ending.
Awkward. It's always an awkward ending. Ba-dum-bum.
To help support the creation of future episodes, please visit the Exhausting Snyders on Patreon. To contact Rachel and Brian for stand-up comedy events or public appearances, text or email 530-362-8747 or email them at theexhaustingsnyders@gmail.com. Hosted by Rachel Snyder and Brian Maxfield Snyder. Podcast engineers Indiana Fawcett and Victoria Nelson. Edited by Podshuttle, podshuttle.io. Theme music by Dustin Curtis Boyer and Trevor Boyer of the Dusty Meadows Band. Logo artwork by Fritz Stryker. Recorded at Chobo Studios on August 19th, 2022. Book this studio online, chobostudios.com.
I'm exhausted. That's the bottom line. I'm exhausted.